Elizabethan Theatre as popular entertainment. Elizabethan Theatre, also known as English Theatre or English Renaissance Theatre, was a very successful form of art that prevailed from the late 16th to early 17th century. Elizabethan Theatre was a popular source of entertainment that contained many features from the different stages, actors, and to the way plays were performed during that time. The actors who were performing during that time were all men. It was considered inappropriate for women to be allowed to act, so they were kept off the stages at all times. Theaters also hired men to perform in non-prominent roles for a small sum of money that they can live off of. Acting was considered a very undesirable type of job. Actors were seen as thieves, beggars, and sinners, and were usually treated as such. But in the end, it was very worth it for the actors, such as getting a good applause after a successful performance. Among the lesser-known aspects about theater is how the playhouses were constructed. The playhouse's exact dimensions are not known, but it is speculated from saved documents that they were circular, open-air, 3-story buildings, approximately 97 to 102 feet in diameter, and can host up to 3,000 spectators. The location where the audience sat was based upon how rich or poor somebody was. The richer people would be seated in the first, second, and third-story galleries away from the rowdy, poor crowd who sat in the pit in front of the stage. The audience was very different from today because back then they would intentionally display their displeasure if they didn't like a play, and would sometimes even throw rotten fruit at the cool actors. Back then, the theaters used minimalistic sets because they would be much more economic than using a backdrop or some kind of fancy scene that would only be used one time and then be thrown away right after the performance. The different types of props or set pieces used would include torches, thrones, or bushes. They would help orient the audience to the location where the play was taking place. Part of the reason theater had so many detailed costumes during those times was because, thanks to Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth loved fashion and had many outfits that inspired people to create their own elaborate costume. Part of the reason why people would go on tour was because of plagues. During those times, the plagues would come and go very often, and sometimes the town officials would close playhouses, so people would have to go out of town and perform elsewhere, such as on the road or in some nearby villages or towns. In order to perform while traveling, the troops had to obtain a license from either a high lord or a royal family official, or they would be subject to being arrested. When arriving at a town that they wanted to perform at, the troops would have to get permission from town officials. Sometimes they would even be denied to be allowed to perform a play because the city people or town people would not appreciate play performances and would consider the actors to be thieves, beggars, and no good people that just wanted to cause trouble. In conclusion, London was considered a center of influence during the Elizabethan era in theater and many other forms of art. Theater was a very popular form of art. Its many features included actors, playhouses, and how the many plays were performed during that time.